Hell's Kitchen. Years ago, a group of kids are beating up a scrawny redhead, calling him Daredevil as a taunt. A bigger kid with dark hair steps in, throws a punch, and scatters the bullies. He hands the beaten kid his books and says something that will echo through this entire story. You don't hit them back. They're just gonna keep hurting you. Only way to stop them. The redhead is Matt Murdock. The kid who saved him is Frank Castle. And decades later, Frank is going to kill Matt, along with every other superhero on Earth. Punisher Kills the Marvel Universe is a 1995 one-shot written by Garth Ennis, with art by Doug Braithwaite. It's 47 pages of Frank Castle systematically murdering every hero and villain in the Marvel Universe, and it doesn't pull a single punch. A lot of people know this comic exists, but fewer know the actual details. How Frank gets his start by murdering X-Men at his family's funeral. How he nukes the moon. How Matt Murdock, the boy he once saved, becomes his final victim. Let me walk you through exactly how Frank Castle killed everyone. Central Park. The Avengers and X-Men are fighting a combined force of Skrulls and Brood. Standard superhero stuff. But Frank Castle's wife took their kids to the park that day. When Frank arrives, pushing past police barricades, he finds them dead in the crossfire. Cyclops approaches, tries to apologize, stammers out, "We didn't know they were there." Frank's response is a bullet, then another. Cyclops goes down. Jubilee goes down. Frank is screaming, firing into a crowd of heroes until Wolverine tackles him and slashes his face open with his claws. That's where Frank gets his scar. That's where the Punisher is born. Matt Murdock, now a lawyer, represents Frank at trial. He gets Frank life in prison instead of death row. But Frank never makes it to Rikers Island. Instead, he's taken to a compound in Adirondacks, where an old man named Kesselring is waiting. Kesselring runs a support group for victims of superhero collateral damage. Mrs. McKinney had a building thrown at her by the Thing. Mr. Krieg was attacked by Wolverine in a case of mistaken identity. Mrs. Pierce was run over by Ghost Rider. Mrs. Dunn lost her parents when the Hulk went on a rampage. Mr. Marcel was crippled by Magneto. And Kesserling himself, Dr. Doom threw the Human Torch at his car. These people want revenge. They have money, resources, and intelligence on superhero weaknesses. What they need is someone willing to pull the trigger. Frank doesn't hesitate. When Kesselring asks if he'll do it, Frank just says yeah. He starts with Spider-Man and Venom, tracks them to the sewers where they're fighting, uses barbed tasers from multiple directions to incapacitate both of them at once. Spider-Man's spider sense is useless when the attack comes from everywhere. While they're twitching on the ground, Frank finishes the job with gunfire. His partner through all of this is Micro, a former Air Force technician who lost both his legs when Dr. Octopus broke into his base looking for missile codes. Micro provides tech support, hacking, and increasingly sophisticated weapons. The Hulk dies in his sleep. Frank tracks Banner using a device that monitors his transformation cycles. When Banner reverts to human form in an alley, Frank is waiting. One shot. No dramatic confrontation, just an execution. Kingpin requires more effort. Micro spends weeks hacking Fisk's security systems. When Frank finally assaults the tower, he finds Kingpin waiting with a stockpile of weapons specifically designed to kill superheroes. Fisk actually wanted to help Frank, saw him as useful. But Frank doesn't discriminate between heroes and villains. They shoot each other in an extended gunfight. Frank walks away, Kingpin doesn't. Dr. Doom is where things get creative. Using stolen Kingpin tech, Frank disguises his aircraft as the Fantastic Four's vehicle to get close to Latveria. Doom catches him anyway and beats him badly, breaking ribs while monologuing about Frank being out of his depth. Frank's response is a magnetic mine planted on Doom's metal mask. The feedback destroys Doom's robot arms. The mine destroys Doom's head. And then Frank loots the castle. Microwave guns, lasers, smart weapons, robots, a one-man space shuttle, and a nuclear warhead. The X-Men and Magneto have been building toward a final confrontation. Frank sends fake challenges to both sides, luring them to the same location, the moon. When every mutant, hero, and villain alike is gathered in one place, Frank detonates the nuke. That's Magneto, Storm, the entire Brotherhood, every X-Man, gone in a single panel of atomic fire. Wolverine survives because he wasn't there. He was in Japan on what turned out to be a wild goose chase Frank arranged specifically to keep him away. When Logan comes back and finds out all his friends are dead, he goes looking for Frank. The fight is brutal. Logan is drunk and grieving, but still deadly. He slashes Frank repeatedly, screaming about his murdered friends. Frank takes the punishment, maneuvering Logan toward a specific location. Then he throws Wolverine into high-voltage power lines. The healing factor can't regenerate fast enough. Logan burns down to a skeleton while Frank watches. At this point, it's been 3 years. Frank has killed nearly 500 superhumans. The organization keeps breaking him out of prison whenever he gets caught. Micro keeps providing support, and the list keeps getting shorter. Captain America finds Frank in New York, in a city that's half ruins from all the superhuman deaths. Cap calls Frank a disgrace, says he was a soldier once. Frank just smirks and talks about Vietnam, about having his own My Lai kind of a day. While Cap is processing that, Frank pulls a gun he'd stashed earlier and shoots him. Kesselring throws a celebration party. Only one target left. But when Frank arrives, Kesselring reveals the truth. They never intended for Frank to stop. More superheroes will be born. More will need killing. Frank is their private killing machine forever. Frank's response is predictable. He shoots Kesselring's group, tells them if he ever hears from any of them again, they'll come back and finish the job. He tells Micro to get out, find something worth doing with his life. Then he goes to Hell's Kitchen for the last name on the list. Matt Murdock is waiting on a rooftop, back where it all began, when they were kids. He tries one more time to reach Frank, tells him there's still right and wrong under all that hate, begs him to stop. Frank's response is violence. They fight across the rooftops. That is good, but Frank has been doing this for 3 years straight. Eventually, Frank gets his hands around Matt's throat. Matt unmasks, looks at Frank with those blind eyes. His last words are simple. There's always someone under the mask, Frank, but you killed us all. Frank finishes it, sets Matt's body down, then sits alone on that rooftop in Hell's Kitchen. The final panel is Frank with a gun pressed to his own temple. His final words, "No, Matt, there's one more to go." The end. This is Garth Ennis at his most efficient. No wasted panels, no mercy. Just Frank Castle following a premise to its logical conclusion, until there's nothing left to kill except himself.